safe vaccines.
Yeah, so I'm pointing out that I think RFK Jr. is a threat to public health. You're saying he's being hypocritical.
Yeah, he's being hypocritical.
Absolutely.
And
Do you know who the #1 hypocrites are? Healthcare providers.
The reality is, if we don't get vaccinated with Jesus, we will face God on Judgment Day.
I'm Dr. Mikhail Varshavsky, better known as Dr. Mike across social media. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician who makes content online improving health literacy. And today, I'm surrounded by 20 vaccine skeptics. My first claim is that anti-vaccine lies cost lives.
Man, there was about 7 niggas that got up thirsty right away.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Excited to talk about health.
I just had a baby, 7 months old. And, you know, my baby, I was like, no, I'm not getting any vaccines. The doctors came in, they made me feel like a very bad mother for not doing that, right? I was very pressured. And then I had a family friend who had a baby at the same time, was a few months in, gave vaccines to the baby, and the baby had seizures and has had seizures since. And I've also had a friend who I went on a mission trip with, and this pastor was
Hold up. What the fuck did that say?
And I've also had a friend who I went on a mission trip with.
So 2
and
flags
this
was raised.
pastor
So not too
was
many
totally
people
healthy,
wanna-
two young girls.
Motherfuckers trying to listen to this
This
girl talk.
pastor literally got a heart attack out of nowhere, and the only thing was he took the vaccine. And there's many cases like that.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the birth of a 7-month-old. The fact that anyone made you feel bad in the healthcare system, I feel like is a failure on us in the healthcare system, so I'm sorry that happened to you. In healthcare, it's very difficult to predict the future.
First off, we just finna start here. This nigga is wearing a spandex. Is that a spandex scrub?
Because there are so many unknowns and there's so many variables in healthcare. There are things that are a lot that are outside of our control. And we try to do the best with the limited amounts that we can control. So when we see 2 things happen simultaneously in healthcare, sometimes we think they have caused one another. But unless we see a pattern of that happening over and over again on a large scale,
Right.
it's more likely that this is just a coincidence of things happening at the same time. For example, I have a friend of mine who's a physician who vaccinates children very regularly. And they were about to give a child the vaccine. And before giving the vaccine, the child had a seizure. They went on and had more seizures throughout their life and ended up actually dying at a very young age because of a seizure disorder. The vaccine was never given. Had that happened 2 minutes later, what do you think would have been in the mother's mind and in the father's mind in that situation, other than, I definitely think that vaccine caused that problem?
Voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, this bitch ran, fool. Ran. Look, she said, I gotta get mine. Knowing damn well. Look. Pulled that.
Dr. Mike?
Hey, hold up. Did he pull that chair? He was. Hold up.
Cannot predict it. But what we can do is try to do the best that we can with the information that we have.
Watch this
You've been
nigga.
voted
Hey,
out by
they
the
gonna vote her
majority.
out.
Please
They
return
all.
to your seat.
Watch how thirsty everybody is, bro. They gonna pull this bitch chair as soon as she get it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Watch over here to the right. Look, fuck out here.
Mike?
She talking about, oh, thank you. He was like, nah, he was waiting for your ass to sit down. Your ass finna fall.
Smooth. Hello.
He's got that wrist flowing. I'm actually a fan of your channel. I've been watching for a while.
Thank you.
I am a pediatric hematology oncology nurse.
Wow, okay.
I think a lot of
Nigga said, wow. Okay. Translation. Don't know what the fuck that is.
mistrust, and my eyes were open during the whole COVID pandemic.
Why?
Institutions that were there, I used to be in the military, so when I was in the military, I signed my bodily autonomy away. If they told me to do something I did it.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I say that in all seriousness because I think a lot of times that kind of becomes habit just to say thank you, but I really do mean that thank
Well,
you.
I appreciate that. So, seeing, how Dr. Fauci, who was just pardoned, and that's a whole other discussion, seeing how we were sold a bill of goods that we, the American tax dollars, paid for, while these pharmaceutical companies reaped millions and millions of profits on. And I think that caused the goalpost, the vaccine, this mRNA vaccine, it's going to prevent the transmission of COVID, it's going to prevent you from getting it, and others, if you don't get this vaccine, you hate your grandmother, you're going to kill all these people, and you got to do your duty and get it. Well, you know what? My grandmother got it.
No. If any of motherfuckers was listening to that shit, it got up like, oh shit. Use a goofy. Definition of one.
And she died. I saw her take her last breath. And it's a very it's a very profound thing to
apologize.
see someone that you love take their last breath and go on to whatever happens after.
Of course.
So when those seats, and it turns out the 6 feet of social
So whatever
distancing
happens
was
after.
not based on anything.
So basically, so we already know what she on. Shorty said whatever happens after. So you don't know where your grandma just floating in her realm, huh? All right.
As dangerous for the general public.
Nigga said, stupid ass shit. He like, yeah, phone up ready. He said, get this bitch up off here, man.
This is why vaccines, it becomes a little more complicated when we talk about bodily autonomy. When it comes to our government, our mandates, pharmaceutical companies, there's absolutely reasons for distrust. I love that everyone in this room is a skeptic, and I encourage skepticism. I don't think anyone should just go into a doctor's office and say yes, 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 yes. In fact, I love when my patients question me. I empower them to ask questions. Doctors sometimes get this attitude where they're like, oh, you Googled before coming here? Google search doesn't replace my degree. No, that's not how we're supposed to be. What I get excited about is if you Googled and you have questions, now I know exactly the route I need to take to help you make a decision that's right for you and your family.
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return
Thank
to
you
your
so
seat.
much. I appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Man, we see who on this motherfucker. Look, yep, phone up. This me.
Pleasure to meet you.
Hey, this musical chair shit is fucking hilarious. It's a bunch of hyenas, bro.
Yes, Root Scott, good to meet you as well.
Love the jacket.
Thank you so much. So I really want to talk to you about this claim based on all of the other things that are causing disease, the chronic conditions that are in this country, all of the metabolic issues, and this is stemming from colonization. Putting smallpox.
So we do got Farrakhan in the chat.
Here to separate the good Jews from the satanic Jews. Yes, yes, yes!
Just so everybody know.
Blankets on indigenous cultures, sterilizing people in Puerto Rico, Honduras, all of these different things that have happened. And if you look at Africa, oh, by the way, Bill Gates did say something interesting. The next war will be fought with biological warfare. And I think that was raising eyebrows, especially when you look at the Kissinger report, right? For those of you who don't know about the Kissinger report, it's all about pretty much reducing the population of the planet. So I don't know how you can make this claim and really defend vaccines in the nature and the world that we're living in, where we are actually going away from nature. And the further we get away from nature, the more diseases we will see. So, you know, I'm very passionate about this, and I want to be able to have like a real discussion with you because, yes, you're a medical doctor, but this is also a system that J.D. Rockefeller started, getting rid of all types of indigenous practices, and this land is stolen land. So when we're not even honoring the source, when we're not honoring the land,
Look. Hey, she said that was the one for me. That was it. Look at the Shorty right here said the indigenous land. I'm done. Yep, I'm done. I'm done. She raised the flag.
ancestors, ancestral intelligence, the real AI, when we're not even honoring these things and we're just supposed to trust science. No, I trust my scientists. I trust Dr. Sebi. I trust Dr. Aris Atham. I trust Dr. Yaqui. because this system is not for us. It's not built for people like me. It's not built for any of us, because even the opioid crisis, we saw a lot of Caucasians suffering from that. So how can you sit here and say that the
This man ain't asking him no questions. He came here with a shotgun, gunning for this man.
My collard greens, my mustard greens, and my collard greens.
Gunning. Look at this nigga. Look where we paused it at. Look at his eyes. Come on, man. This nigga banging on the desk and shit.
this vaccine is killing people, when this system is currently killing people, when we even have to have an administration that comes in now and says, ooh, we got to start looking at all of these different toxins in the food, in the medicine, in the soil. I don't think it's fair for us to take this vaccine when we're already being forced to take polluted food.
When you say take this vaccine, which vaccine are you talking about?
Well, really all of them. It should be a choice, because even when I was younger, I didn't take as many vaccines as the children have to take now. These children are sicker, they're going through more metabolic issues, they're having mental health issues, and now I don't think it's just the vaccine. It's the system that's perpetuating this type of lifestyle. Yes, that child who was even in the hospital under those fluorescent lights, I'm not surprised that they had a seizure before, because this is an environment that is not conducive to life. This thing that I'm wearing on my chest is called an ankh. Y'all replaced this. Y'all replaced our culture.
That's Moon Knight, y'all. That's Moon Knight. Hey, do your research, folks. That's Moon Knight, y'all.
The moon haunts you.
This life representing thing, you replace it with death culture. This is not a healthcare system, it's a sick care system. And honestly, I cannot sit here in good faith and not represent all of the people who have come before me.
Yeah, absolutely. I respect that. I came to the United States as an immigrant living on welfare, so I got put into this same system that you're describing. It's a shitty system. The world is changing in ways that make our lives more unhealthy. We're eating more processed food, we're exposed to more chemicals, usually as a result of products that we actually enjoy. So when I complimented you on that great jacket, when someone wears a specific pretty strap on their Apple Watch, there's chemicals in there, there's forever chemicals in there. So for every amazing thing that we have in society, there's been drawbacks. The good part about our society is that we're constantly monitoring those drawbacks and are trying to create solutions for our own problems. So when I think about our current healthcare system, where I think it needs to do better is it needs to focus more on prevention rather than cures. Agree or disagree?
1,000%, yes, sir.
Do you know how we can do that?
Not through the vaccines, but one way we could do that is connecting more to nature. One way we could do that is making sure that we're not poisoning the food. One way we could do that is treating each other better with more respect and actually getting rid of these systems that are putting us against us, this divide and conquer, the media manipulation and all of this fear tactics that was pushed during this vaccine COVID mumbo jumbo. Yeah. This was totally
Do you think we should do all of it?
Okay, sorry, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please
Thank you.
return to your
Appreciate
seat.
that.
That man Farrakhan ran straight to the seat. He did not fucking skip a beat. Barely breathed, G. Barely. On God. Let's see. He said, yeah, I'm in here.
Hello. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
How are you? Pleasure to meet you. So I'll let you know I'm Tom. I'm a police lieutenant from northern New Jersey.
Okay.
And what struck
Local.
me about your statement about body autonomy and children and the COVID vaccination. What would you say if I told you I had 3 daughters and my spouse and I had differing opinions on whether our children should be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine? And a judge orders that vaccine be injected into my daughters.
Yeah. Pill popper. Pill popper. I promise you, G, there is no way, no possible way, that a judge gonna be like, yeah, nigga, do that shit. It's like, what? This nigga dead ass.
I'll give you a little bit of data first.
Okay.
And this was part of my reasoning with the courts. Risk versus benefit, correct? From 2018 to 2023, if we trust the CDC, their numbers say the most deadly thing for our children, the #1 deadly thing, do you happen to know what it is?
Guns.
Accidents. Not necessarily guns, but accidents. Do you know what the number 2? And I'm going from children from 10 to 14 during the height of the pandemic.
Well,
So basically, they saying he capping. They fact checking niggas on the right. They like, actually, damn, this nigga. You know what I'm saying? They fact checking everybody. Make sure they ain't bapping on the right side.
a little bit before the pandemic as
A
well.
little bit before, so the numbers are a little bit bigger. The number 2 cause, suicide. Do you know where COVID is on that range of dangers?
Very low.
Very low. That population is about 21 million children in the United States. Between 2018 and 2023, there were about 4,000 to 7,000 accidents, about 1,000 suicides. Do you know how many deaths there were from COVID?
No, not offhand.
69. In New Jersey, where I'm from,
He said not 60. The CDC reports 204 deaths from. Yeah, his ass up here like, yeah, this nigga lying. So basically, the whole time he talking, they got fact checks like, nah, nigga, you lying.
You made that whole story up. No, you started that fight. You calling me a liar?
I ain't calling you a truther.
now are you familiar with the VAERS database?
Yes,
So that's for adverse reactions to vaccinations.
yes.
During that time frame, this is about 6 months out of that period of time, from December of 2020 to July of 2021. The VAERS database, which is the only database we have, there were 14,000 post-COVID vaccination deaths. So how, if you're looking at risk,
Bro, every time this man speaks, they fact check him. They like, yeah, just disregard his whole bit. Basically, we know this nigga a liar. Just disregard everything he say.
towards benefit is injecting a child, upholding what we call the Hippocratic Oath, right? We talk about the Hippocratic Oath and we extrapolate from that. One of the first things, it's not said in the Hippocratic Oath, but it's the first thing is to do no harm. Now, as a police officer, I took oath as well. Protect, serve, preserve life and property. In my line of work, there are times when I had to take a life to save one. I don't necessarily think that applies to you, Doctor.
It does not.
Maybe you can give your viewpoint, whether maybe you're for or against, a court ordering the children to be injected with something that there is no harm to. But now we're seeing actual harm with the vaccine. They didn't die from the disease. They're dying from the vaccine.
Yeah, so your point is very logical and you're very well researched, and I applaud that because most people will go off their feelings as opposed to looking at the data as you did. So I appreciate that. When you point out that there's been 69 deaths, you said?
Correct. Between
From the
that
CDC
time,
data.
if we trust it.
If we
yeah.
trust it. And then there was 13,000, 14,000 deaths?
14,000 according to the VAERS
VAERS
database.
Are you familiar with how the VAERS database works?
I am.
Do you know who can report to the VAERS database?
It's a voluntary report system,
By
so
who?
it's open.
By
It's
who?
open, either to patients, medical providers,
Loved
anyone.
ones, anyone. During a heated political
Basically, like, dude, you on Wikipedia of medical records. That's what he basically telling you. You on Wikipedia. You on Wikipedia.
time during which people are very angry and are reporting things that do happen during a pandemic, isn't it possible that there's people reporting things that after we look at it and judge it off of the VAERS system, that it is in fact not shown to be causative, but in fact a coincidence or a correlation?
So yes, I would say that correlation doesn't equal causation, but I'll give you another data point to chew on. When I was a law enforcement officer, I saw people that were dying, and then when they were assessing the cause of death, they had a range of other morbidities. And just because they died with COVID they didn't die from COVID. But getting back to the children, none of them did.
I think the reason why 0 children died is because we immunized so many, A. B, the fact that the court ordered you to do it, it's not...
I know y'all see Shorty in the background bussing when he said that shit. Bussing. Watch this shit.
None of them did.
I think the reason why 0 children died is because we immunized so many, A. B, the
She
fact
said.
that the court ordered you to do it, it's not really my place to judge because you have 2 parents that have 2 decision-making capacities and someone has to make a decision. I don't know what's right. I leave that to people who are smarter than me. I can talk about the science of it all. And when we look at the science, yes, COVID is a low-risk proposition for children, but it's not a 0 risk. When we look at the COVID vaccine, especially at the peak of that pandemic, when we were seeing hospitals overflooded, when we were losing people left and right, that was our sole way out of that pandemic. So the fact that 0 children died played a major role in making that happen.
All right, I'm sorry. We're out of time.
I'd love to go with that one.
Next claim is that vaccine-acquired immunity is better than natural immunity.
Jean jacket, y'all.
Pleasure.
We got jean jacket.
I want to say first that I'm a mother of 6 children. My oldest 2 children do have vaccines. My 3rd child, he got a vaccine that the doctor said were safe that caused him brain issues for the rest of his life, and he has arrested hydrocephalus. I want to continue to say my youngest 3 children have no vaccines at all. They're perfectly fine. They're advanced. My son has permanent brain injury. So they say vaccine immunity is better, but as a child, when I got vaccines, I ended up with spinal meningitis. I had chicken pox twice. I almost died. But my 3 children that don't have any vaccines are perfectly fine. They've been traveled over 20 states during COVID.
We should have known. Soon as the full 2-piece jean jacket come out, like, cause that could be baby fat. That's like big old 8 fit. So soon as the 08 fits come out, you know she ready. You know she ready, y'all.
They've never got COVID. They've never got sick. Just a healthy diet, keeping them away from toxic foods, making sure their hygiene is good. Did you know that COVID has a patent and natural illnesses can't have patents? Did you know that every illness dated back to polio has a patent? The only thing that doesn't have a patent is the common cold. Did you know that Fauci funded medical schools to try to make the vaccine more, or not the vaccine, make COVID more deadly?
Yo, the fact checks are too fast, gang. It's just like, she speak, they like bap. Speak, bap. Speak, nah, shorty, you bapping. Speak, yeah, bap again. So you can't even keep up when you read the shit because she just spewing just false ass claims.
Vaccine immunity is not really a thing because they cannot guarantee it makes anybody immune. There's more side effects from getting a vaccine than to not get a vaccine. The chances of getting illness not vaccinated versus to getting vaccines is a lot higher than somebody that doesn't eat toxic crap, practices good hygiene. They're more likely to get illness vaccinated versus not vaccinated. There's studies that show unvaccinated children are more healthier. In Japan, they don't start their vaccine schedule, I believe, until 2 years old. Autism is almost non-existent. And this is something that needs to be documented. Dated back to polio, everything has a patent except for the common cold. Mad cow disease, Spanish flu, COVID, everything has a patent. So that leads me to believe Big Pharma has been ruining our people for generations since the Great Depression, since, like he said, Rockefeller agreed to fund medical schools and the education system around 1920s. Since then, illnesses have increased and increased and increased and increased and increased, and all we ever needed was to take care of ourselves and have good hygiene.
Farrakhan in the back like, yeah, I done found me one. Look at him smiling in the back. Farrakhan in the back like, yup, let me get up on her after this one. He geeked. He geeked. And I ain't even peeped the man had sandals with his toes out. So that's really Farrakhan, y'all. Black Panther in 2025.
Something I think our healthcare system doesn't do enough is say, I don't know. And I have no idea about Dr. Fauci's patents. I don't know about patents on viruses. I'm a family medicine physician. That means I work in a clinic where people come in with either an acute complaint, something's going on with them, or they're coming in for a preventive physical where we can get ahead of things and make them healthier by preventing illness. In fact, if you think about where pharma's profits are, if pharma had to choose between preventing an illness or to treat an illness for the rest of someone's life, financially speaking, they'd probably want to just treat someone for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
But that's not what vaccines are. Vaccines prevent that illness. They prevent it from happening. And when you brought up the subject of autism, I think it's an important subject, and it's a subject that's been largely debunked by the
Not at
entire
all.
world community.
Not at all. I've seen studies that say otherwise, doctor. So I don't know if you're going off Rockefeller's medicine or you going off of holistic medicine as well. As a scientific mind, you're supposed to observe everybody's hypothesis, not just Rockefeller's medical schools. And that's why I feel like you've got most of your knowledge from, and maybe you should branch out into holistic medicine, because vaccines have never been the answer. They were created to separate us from spirituality and consciousness. If you look at the ingredients, there's nothing healthy in vaccines. Formaldehyde.
They said, "Yep, that's enough." Anytime somebody start getting off the spectrum, "Yep, that's enough." They all just, they all raise the flags. Her and Farrakhan. Yep.
Hide all types of stuff. So none of that prevents. Everybody got vaccines, still get illnesses. I've never seen any prevention of anything.
The prevention from vaccines comes from prevention of death and serious illness. And we've seen that when you study that, not just in the US by the Rockefeller system that you described, one of the largest studies in the world surrounding vaccines and autism in children came from Denmark with over 500,000 children. That is not a US system, that is not a capitalist system, and they found that there is no pattern.
That's not
so
true.
I'm trying to branch out as much as possible.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please
Thank you so
return to your
much.
seat.
These niggas was finna fight, gang. Watch. Knowing they can't really throw them shits. He said, "Bro, fuck is you doing?" He's ha. Yo, fuck with a nigga with the tie with some fucking loafers on, though. But the loose beanie niggas, though, yeah, you gotta watch out for loose beanie. He stuck his chest out.
So I want to take a minute and put the ball back on your court, because you mentioned herd immunity earlier, correct? Well, COVID was COVID one of the most contagious viruses we've had, pretty much?
I don't know, historically speaking, but it was definitely incredibly contagious.
Okay.
In fact, because it wasn't so deadly, was the reason why it was such a problem.
You want herd immunity. How would we achieve herd immunity if a virus is so contagious that wouldn't it spread across the population before we get it all vaccinated?
Not every vaccine can create herd immunity, but it can create herd protection. There's two different types of viruses that exist, and there's long incubation diseases and there's short incubation diseases. The simplest way I could explain it is how quickly you get sick after you're exposed to this infection. That's short incubation. So if it's fast, it's short incubation. If it's long incubation. Now, when you look at a disease like smallpox, for example, that's a long incubation illness. It means it gives your immune system a chance to create a response to it. So if you've been vaccinated, even if you've been vaccinated a long time ago, your body has the time to create protection even after it's been exposed. For short incubation illnesses like the common cold, influenza, COVID-19, it's very difficult to create complete protection, because even though you've gotten some protection from getting the vaccine in a short period of time, that immunity wanes, and the long-term protection you get is only valuable against serious illness like death, hospitalization, etc. Okay. So you can't get perfect herd immunity for short incubation diseases.
Okay, thank you.
That nigga is plotting his next move on Beanie. Let's see if Loose Beanie, Loose Beanie have to see me if he did that shit. You poking your chest out over the COVID shit? All right.
So, I guess my follow-up question is that there were certain groups of people who were exempt from getting the COVID vaccine, like if you were under a certain age or over a certain age, or if you had immunocompromised problems or whatever. So, if those people can't get the vaccine, and those are the people who are most vulnerable, and a lot of people in this room believe, well, a lot of people's natural immunity is good enough to fight the disease, then like, why would we get the vaccine when the people that, you know, if they can't get it, then they could die anyways, you know.
Yeah, so by the point of that is by getting the vaccine as a healthy person, I believe that's better than having natural immunity. And that doesn't mean that by getting the vaccine you have a better response or a stronger response. In fact,
I'm telling you, bro, when you got the gemstones, the Steven Universe with the gemstones, and you...
All the crystal gems will always save the day.
Times, actually getting the disease will give you a better response. But do you know what you have to do in order to get that response?
Like, get the virus in you?
Correct.
Hey, Dr. Mike, Eliezer.
Hey, he said, hey, yellow tie and this motherfucking artisan right here. He said, hey, I'm gonna hold on your shoulder as an anchor. Watch out. Watch.
Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Mike.
Ah!
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as
I
well.
was actually binge watching your videos this week, thinking it was going to be you. I didn't think it was going to be you, but you are very good faith, which I respect. Can I ask you a question in terms, because as a vaccine skeptic, the burden of proof is on you to show that vaccines do work. So what evidence would you have that vaccines actually work?
So vaccines, unlike other drugs, and there have been claims made about this in the wrong direction, where people say that vaccines aren't as tested as, let's say, pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
Because vaccines are given to healthy people to prevent disease, we test them an incredibly higher amount than pharmaceuticals. So that means pre-market testing before we bring them out. That means while we give them and after. We actually have a system called the Vaccine Safety Data Net that monitors millions of doses of the vaccines to see if a pattern gets elucidated through giving the vaccine. So we have all stages of the vaccine process monitored because we are trying to do our best to make sure that we help children and adults when they are due for a vaccine.
Okay, so you just, at the end, you said it pretty much sounds like you have to have a good intention. For example, we're not in the labs actually seeing the vaccine process or the clinical trials, so we have to just take the expert's word and trust it, right?
Well, when you fly in a plane, you're not in the cockpit.
Right, so we put our faith in that. So
Basically saying, nigga, that question was goofy as hell. Stop asking dumbass questions.
you would say that we just have to put our faith in the experts, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this would require, number one, a good intention. So they have a good intention to help people, to make their lives better, and also they have to be ethical. Is that correct?
Those are reasonable things, yeah.
Okay, so if they fall outside of the purview of those two criteria, would you say it is reasonable for us to be skeptical?
I think it's reasonable to be skeptical at any moment.
But taking those two things, if they violate either of those two, would it give someone else more justification to be against it?
Sure.
Okay, so when we look at the biggest developers and distributors and sellers of the vaccines, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all these big pharmaceutical companies, when we look at their track record, we see they have been deceptive. They've had big settlements, billions and billions of dollars, fraud, misleading the public, concealing clinical trials that were against their favor from the public. So when we have to put our whole faith and trust in these people that have been through huge billions of dollars of settlements, and they have proven that they have been unethical, they have made more.
This man came in here to try to set this nigga up. He said, so if they don't fall into these two, you'd say we shouldn't trust it, right? Nigga, as soon as he said sure, boom, hit his ass. Okay, bet. Well, what about all this and that? Fuck is
profit through the COVID times than ever before as well.
Heck, you know,
why
bro,
should we trust them
like-
so lightly? Taking into consideration the fact that we're not in the labs with them, taking the fact that they are profiting from our well-being, why should we trust them so lightly?
It's not a blind trust. Who you're trusting is the independent reviewers that review the data that they put forward.
Okay, but is this political or is this science?
Health is as much public health as it is individual health.
Okay, but would you say guys like Dr. Peter McCullough or Dr. Rich, would you say that they are probably not good experts that we should adhere to?
I don't know who those people are.
So they're very anti-vax, or they've.
He be trying to set this nigga up. This doctor smart though, I ain't gonna lie. He be like, y'all be trying to finesse me, but I'm not no goofy.
provided solutions like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and they've stated over 200 peer-reviewed studies from different types of trials showing the efficacy of those kind of medications that are alternatives to COVID or the vaccination. But what I'm kind of getting to is that we're supposed to trust this specific agenda. So Pfizer, WHO, which once again, if we look at the track record, they haven't had a great track record. So it sounds like to me it's more of a political thing instead of a science thing. When you guys say trust the science and trust the experts, you actually mean this group of experts. Because whenever big experts like RFK, even if you want to say he's not a doctor, he's not licensed, but his friends, Peter McCullough, Dr. Rich, they are great experts. They've had some of the most reviewed studies in the medical field. I don't see why we have to deny their science and their expertise and go with this set of people.
I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, you have to look at consensus. And when you look at consensus, not just the United States.
Man, we know her. We know. Chat. I ain't even gonna go in on Shorty.
Damn!
Yo, Edgar came ready. I ain't gonna bout.
Studies that were conducted that show adverse reactions to the thing that you're putting forth. So that's where I would also make a delineation that there's mistakes, which we can all make, and I would also say science can make mistakes, but then there's this other section, which is an intention.
How do you judge intention?
That's the thing is with these kind of companies, we have to assume good intention.
All right, sorry.
He said, yeah, that was enough.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Hello? Pleasure?
Pleasure. So knowing that there are side effects that do come along with the COVID vaccine, which is irrefutable, it's a risk management. And in any circumstance, if there's a risk, there must be a choice at all times. Would you agree with that?
Well, there's always a choice.
Well, there wasn't a choice September 9, 2021, when Biden instituted the OSHA mandate with all federal employees and every business over 100 employees. Would you agree with that?
I still think it was a choice.
So when you say it wasn't a choice,
Yeah, that's some ignorant ass shit. You gonna put a mandate on a nigga job? No choice. Niggas need money on.
Spare
At that point,
change.
I ain't no choice.
Spare
Nigga. Look at
change,
this
man.
black folk. Like, yeah. Hey, we got some characters on this bitch, y'all.
it's for all the service members that were part of the military that refused the vaccine. They were dishonorably discharged. Did they have a choice?
They had a choice.
And what was their choice?
I'm not saying whether or not this is a fair choice or if I support the choice, but it was a choice.
Okay.
Just like with children, in order to go to a public school where by choosing to not vaccinate your child, you're potentially putting other children at risk, you could choose not to put them in a public school and therefore not be mandated to get the vaccines.
Everyone has the ability to make a right choice for them and their family. And if you are able to fully understand with informed consent, there are many, many risk factors, especially knowing that there's no long-term studies, not one.
Sorry, time's up.
Thank you.
My next claim is that RFK Jr. is a public health threat.
Edgar came back, G. Edgar said, yeah, I'm ready, gang. Yup. Because you know Edgar had all the RFK research. He said, I'm back.
Good to see you again, sir.
Yes, sir. So why do you think he is a threat?
I think when you're trying to put someone in a position of authority of a health agency, you want it to be a person who understands science.
We got to get him off the stage, man. He be trying to set niggas up like they goofies and shit. You binge watch some shit, and we can tell, gang.
Put forth legitimate studies that would be antithetical to the pro-vaccine studies. So you said earlier, like misinformation. I would ask, who is the author of misinformation?
Who is the author of misinformation?
Yeah, so misinformation.
This nigga is asking who is the author of. Hey, this is what we call setups. Now Edgar gonna have to take his ass back because he tried to put on a little collar shirt and shit. Like, yeah, I'm a preppy nigga, but he really came on some slimy shit. And you always gotta watch out a nigga who wear the two-tone like collar with the fucking shit underneath. There's always a snake.
First off, is predicated on the fact that there's right information. Right information is going to be predicated on the fact that there's absolute truth. Does science state absolute truth?
There's no absolute truth, period.
Right.
In fact, there's a great book that I recommend everyone to check out. It's called The Half-Life of Facts, to see how what we consider now a fact, how quickly it could change. And in science, what I consider someone who would be a good fit and not a public health threat to lead the agency is someone who's aware that facts can expire, they can change, they can adapt, but they have sound logic as to why they make those decisions, and they don't make statements carelessly with bad information, knowingly bad information.
So if truth is provisional, this means that science, that right now you can be pro-vax, and next year when you see sufficient evidence, you can be anti-vax, correct?
You could.
Okay, perfect. So if there's no absolute truth within this realm, I don't know why we should completely rule out RFK Jr. and the other experts that he could appeal to.
The reason I rule him out is because he takes information that is not true.
For the time being, because you just said it's provisional truth, meaning it can change with time.
Right, but you can create any sort of statement, and in healthcare, we can't just go off of any statement because someone feels subjectively to be true. We have to do our best to do with limited information that we can. That doesn't mean we have zero information, we should just believe anyone. In fact, have you seen these podcast hosts who have protocols by which they
Like
sleep,
Gary Brecka?
eat, or Gary Brecka or otherwise? The reason why I don't subscribe to their protocols is because anyone can make a claim about anything, just like RFK does with these statements. Until someone backs up these claims with good, substantial evidence, and there is a hierarchy of what good.
That damn nano scrub that's that Tony Stark nano scrub, gang.
Substantial evidence is, we won't believe those stats. The same way that if you sat across from me right now and told me you're the fastest human on earth at 100 meters, you might be telling the truth. Provisionally, subjectively, it might be true. The only way I'll know it's true is if we have an Olympic timekeeper with an Olympic device measured with the proper measuring tape. Then I can witness it, and then I can see it's true.
Okay, pause. Sorry, you've been
Perfect.
voted out by the majority.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anything I could say today that would change your mind?
I'm just
And then-
asking your opinion.
I'm asking you a question.
Probably not, because I actually read and study.
Well, if I can't change your mind,
I
how?
just want to know your opinion.
Yeah, so I would like to give you my knowledge, my experience, and what I've seen in the hospital system. But if you're telling me right now, no matter what I say, you're not going to change your mind, is there any value to that?
Well, I like to study everybody's opinion. I don't like to just say, I believe this and not further investigate everybody else's opinion. But when studies show the unvaccinated are actually healthier and the vaccinated are the ones that are getting COVID and dying and getting heart problems, and over 100-something athletes that got the vaccine got heart problems after being perfectly healthy, I think it's unsafe and actually more so villain-like to say it's so safe and call people that are anti-vaxxers skeptics when over 100 athletes that are perfectly healthy are injured. Over who knows how many in the military cannot have kids or have had a spontaneous abortion or everything because,
Yeah, they not
because
tryna.
of this. So
They don't be trying to listen to Jean Jacket, gang. They don't.
I feel like it's an unfair statement to say he's a villain or he's unsafe, but then continue to say you believe the vaccines are safe and effective when millions have died or suffered from adverse reactions. So I'm just trying to understand your perspective.
Yeah, my perspective is, if you, like the American Medical Association put out that over 90% of doctors got vaccinated. There's no epidemic of doctors having negative outcomes, dying at alarming rates.
There's saline shots as well. There was a doctor in Australia that came forth and said that at least 10% of the vaccines that were going out were saline shots. And this has been proven by an Australian doctor that some of the shots that were going out were saline shots. So how are we to say that some of these doctors didn't know ahead of time of Agenda 21 and got a saline shot? It's kind of
Okay,
impossible
pause.
to say.
Sorry, you've been voted out.
She be coming off on all extreme shit. Talking about a saline shot.
By the majority.
Thank you.
You shouldn't have wore Timberlands, my boy. You gonna move like a motherfucking big ass Stonehenge.
How you doing, sir?
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So I just want to say there haven't been a lot of people in public health advocating for natural remedies.
I don't understand how Farrakhan keep getting to this bitch. He moving so quick, bro.
Almost like doctors saying cigarette smoke is actually good for you.
Exactly. In fact, everything that we're doing in healthcare right now, like 50% of it over the next 100 years.
I ain't never heard that. And if any motherfucker think that you smoke cigs and it's good for you, you deserve to be laying up somewhere, man. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Will be found to be ineffective, or there's going to be something better.
And we'll go back to nature, right?
And some of it will go back to nature. Like, going back to nature sounds really good, but there's also a little bit of a fallacy in that. So, like, in nature, people walk barefoot, but we don't choose to walk barefoot because we don't want to get tetanus infection from the floor and get cuts on our feet. There's
and all of these chemical-induced floors that we're putting, all of these bleaches, these things that are
exactly forever chemicals in our watch bands.
But grounding is a thing. Earthing is a thing that has proven to help with.
So how do we balance a healthy lifestyle of being outdoors with modern science? Is where we.
I think we can do it, right?
Yeah.
Because allopathic medicine did rule out. Once again, I think I brought up the flexible.
I'm not
report,
an allopathic physician.
Right?
How wild is that? I'm an osteopathic physician. So I think more of the holistic approach than a traditional allopathic physician would. I did not go to an allopathic medical school, and I am very passionate about one thing that I feel like is lost in modern healthcare: the body's ability to heal itself.
Yes. Amen.
And I think that sometimes we envision so much more control than what we actually have. Like, for example, do you think wearing a seatbelt saves lives?
It can, yeah, for sure.
Has it ever saved yours?
No.
Have you worn it all the time, or majority of the time?
I have not worn it all the time,
But
but
majority
I
of the
could
time.
see.
You regularly wear it.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that mean it was stupid to have done so?
No, not at all. But I think the
That's
seatbelt
how
is now
I
risking my life as a vaccine would be risking
So there's
my
some
life, right?
people that believe, like anti-vaxxers believe vaccines are harmful without great evidence, that seatbelts can cause you to get trapped and et cetera, and actually
You're
cause
saying
more problems.
anti-vaxxers believe that?
No, I'm saying like anti-vaxxers believe negative beliefs about vaccines that are not well proven. Some people say that about seatbelts. Some people say that the world is not round and they believe it to be flat.
Now, can you compare vaccine skepticism with really seatbelt skepticism? Like, do you think that that really weighs,
I
especially
think
when
the
people have been
principle-
injured from vaccines? This is a real thing that
People have been injured by seatbelts.
I understand. So I'm going to give somebody else a time, but you know, my claim is pretty much that RFK is standing up for a lot of different things that are going on in this country right now that are causing more damage than COVID.
I would love for someone else to stand up for those things as opposed to RFK.
I think
but we
you
agree
as well,
with it.
right?
Yeah.
Niggas better watch out, because that moon will haunt you if that nigga sees Dr. Mike outside of this shit on Fundum. He was looking at him like...
You'll never walk, let alone dance again. Now excuse yourself.
Man.
Hi.
Hello.
Again. Okay. RFK Jr. has been revealing so much of what we have been needing to know about health. And again, like you were saying, some of the things that have been hidden from us. I mean, I'm a YouTuber, right? I have a YouTube channel. And when I talked about the vaccine, I was censored. And he wants to bring back the freedom of speech. He wants to bring back the power of the people. And we have been really just oppressed by Big Pharma and by the...
Why did everybody just looking around when this bitch talking like,
government, and we want our freedom back. And even my friend Liana Warner Gray, she is the author of The Earth Diet. She had cancer right here, a tumor, and she got healed through organic foods. She is a huge promoter of RFK and MAHA, and she talks about how this is the way to heal the world, is through the natural medicine of God. God gave us everything that we needed. The reality is, if we don't get vaccinated with Jesus, we will face God on Judgment Day.
this nigga thought he was motherfucking Luke Skywalker. That nigga thought he was Peter Parker when he first got whipped. Go, Web, go! Fly! Watch this nigga, shorty. Hey, watch Peter Parker. Hey, no. That nigga said.
Shazam! Go! Go! Go, Web, go!
Boy was not going nowhere, gang.
My next claim is that anti-vaxxers are both victims and villains of misinformation.
Yeah. Black folks said it's time to put my athlete in. Real black trench baby shit. Watch. He got the vault. He catapult. And his eyes. Out of there.
Hello. Pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure. So, the way I see it, the vaccine itself should be, the discussion. But we could talk about that.
Yeah, I think the reason why I say it that way is that, for example, I believe you're a vaccine skeptic. And I think vaccine hesitancy, skepticism is warranted. But I think when you're an anti-vaxxer, you become an activist for spreading misinformation, and that makes you both a villain and a victim because you've largely been misled.
So, the anti-vaxxer, would you agree that there's some reason for someone to be an anti-vaxxer?
Absolutely. And a lot of times they're the ones misled, so that's why I think they're victims.
What would be an example of the misinformation that you're referring to?
Like that vaccines cause autism.
So they don't cause autism, you're saying?
Correct.
At all?
Correct.
Well, that's news to me. Okay, what about death? Doesn't the vaccine save lives?
Correct.
Man, I ain't never heard no shit like that. If you believe some shit like that, yeah, you definitely an extremist, gang. Nigga said, that's news to me. That nigga must be on the fucking dark web looking up freaky, geeky shit.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Appreciate it.
I was disappointed by him, bro. Disappointed. I thought Foden was about to come in with some fucking shit on his chest, man. He ain't do nothing, man. He ain't challenge his ass. You let Farrakhan show you up, gang. Come on. Oh, hell no. He finna grab this nigga. Ain't nobody grabbing me, gang. Look, right here. This is an instant suplex into the chair. WWE style. Monday Night Rollins style. Fuck as you said. He said, all right, you got it. Yeah, these niggas goofy.
Very passionate.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, first of all, I want to say your claim has some logic to it. We have a constitutional right. The first constitution says we have a right to religious practices.
This nigga up there, bottom lip quivering like a motherfucking nervous as hell. He did all that to start fucking damn near crying when he get up there, gang. Yeah, dude with the yellow tie, he got to get his get back. He just getting punked. They got punked by fucking Peter Parker. Then he got punked by the motherfucking nigga with the green fucking scarf on and shit, bro. By the damn artisan. Like,
I wouldn't view them as a victim because I saw them getting the vaccine as largely a positive.
Okay, I can see you see it as a positive, but for me,
yeah, not Torta.
Vaccine, I never.
Torta, she said no. To
me as well.
When you look at people that are proponents of the vaccine, especially in important capacities, like if we take the example of Jay Varma, he was a COVID czar at the peak of COVID, and he was a public health advisor under Bill de Blasio, and he's having private gatherings.
I'm telling you, the Jean Jacket clan, bruh, the hidden village of the Jean Jackets, gang, like, god damn.
Hello.
Hello, pleasure.
How are you?
Nice to
Dr.
meet you.
Mike. My name is Janelle, and I'm also an educator. I'm a conscious sex therapist, so I
The Steven Universe, bitch. You see her ass got the gym.
deal with longevity, preserving the body, and so I think the real villains are People like Fauci, right? People like Fauci, right? Did you know that his salary is like $500K, and the highest they said, and he's worth 11 million? Crazy. Maybe he's getting the rest of that money. But and then let me go on just real quick.
Sure.
And that
You pocket watching? We don't get no fuck about the nigga Munyon. Give me that Munyon. You probably got Munyon. You got a gemstone in your shit. How much that gemstone? Motherfuckers talking about a nigga pocket with a gemstone on their forehead, gang. Like, you miss Steven Universe.
something interesting I thought too when you were talking about the VAERS studies, that there said that there was like 40 million adverse reactions, not including the deaths. And with polio, because I want to talk more about like child vaccine, because I'm a mom and all that stuff.
They keep going to that VAERS site, the Wikipedia shit, instantly fact check. No, that's Wikipedia. Stop it.
But polio, which came out in 1968, only had 123K, and tetanus had 15K. So it's crazy, right? These have been around for ages. But anyway, that's the B-side. So the villains, I think, are maybe not you, because you seem very nice, Dr. Mike.
Okay, thank you.
But doctors, you know, when I was, okay, so we have something in common. I was on welfare. I have a crazy story, but when I had my son,
This is a date for her. She in here trying to cuff some shit. You see she trying to look good. She got her shit out. You know what I'm saying? She came in here with the nice fit. Complimenting bro. Bro got the nano scrub on. So, like, he ain't really trying. And still finessing.
right? The problem is we're not healthy anymore, right?
She said, this bitch. Man, she is not feeling her, bruh.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
She is not feeling her. Why the fuck is Selena Gomez from Wizards of Waverly Place sitting here? Salty. Not fucking with Miss Steven Universe at all, bro.
Like the best thing they need is breast milk, and like for me to like be forced, feel like I was forced to do that. Anyways, I went.
You know why she said breast milk the first thing. I mean, maybe from her shit look fucking locked and loaded, so maybe her milk might be solid. But I don't know about everybody else shit, but her shit loaded.
I forgo. I'm sorry. I'm sleep deprived. All the vaccines until he was almost a year. When I put him.
Tried to make some fucking explanation of not knowing the word, talking about I'm sleep deprived. Shorty, it's okay to be slow.
Still, I nursed him till he was 7, which I know people think is weird, but in
I nursed him till he was 7. Look at this shorty face. On G's, this nigga standing up, sucking titties. Dribbling basketball, sucking titties and shit. Fuck you talking about? This nigga, what? Playing the game, sucking on titties, talking about 7? Imagine that. You on a Mario Kart, ma. Can I get some titty milk? Phone them. Like, instantly, ma. You got a cup. Right now. You come out like, you feel me? Let me get some. Fuck you talking about? Yeah, freak shit. Hey, man, I appreciate everybody tapping into the video, bro. Mastermind Reacts on fucking YouTube. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Love.